Hey everyone, welcome back to the Badass Confidence Coach. Today we're talking about something that is, oh my gosh, I think I had this conversation at least 3 times last week with my clients, and it's this whole issue or sort of problem around why we can't relax in our lives, even when like nothing is wrong. There's nothing on the outside of our lives that's ailing us. There's no real problem that we can identify, and we're not able to fully relax in our lives. It's a big one.
Hmm.
So, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk with all of you a little bit about the reasons why this is happening and what we can do about it.
So
I get it all. I mean, I deal with this all the time.
yeah. So is it like the really big things that don't allow you to relax just in general, or is it like in the moment stuff where you're like, all right, I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes, but I can't because
Yeah.
this is going on in the other room, or
Yes. And even when
it's
you sit down for 15 minutes, your mind is elsewhere.
yeah,
It's the mind always going. I see
yeah,
it a lot in high functioning people who are successful, entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs got successful. They got there for a reason.
yeah,
And they got there because they tend to work way beyond 40 hours a week. They've always got something they got to do next, right?
yeah,
And then when they get there, they're not able to chill and relax. You finally reach the pinnacle of what you were striving for. And it can be it can be really any area of your life. Think about it.
yeah.
And then when you reach it, they say, be careful. What's that Chinese adage? Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. It's that. Be careful what you wish for. You wished for this. You worked for this. You worked hard for this. Now you're there. And it's like, oh, well, okay. Why can't I chill? Why can't I
Now
relax?
what?
Why can't I just glory in this?
Yeah,
Because there's always something else.
right. So let's take you. You go and you decide I'm going to sit on the couch for 20
Right.
minutes, right?
Right.
There's the stuff in your head that's got you thinking about the status of your business,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's
Mm-hmm.
just brewing and it's not actually happening in the moment, but it could, right? Later. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 years from now, but it's in your head like, "Ooh, we need
Yeah.
to consider this or that."
Right.
And then there's also there's the holiday decorative that's on your window outside you that's
Right.
banging because it's windy,
Oh
right? So
yeah.
so there's things that are live
There
in the
literally
moment,
is,
right?
an Easter spring bunny who is banging on my window
Right.
outside my
But
office.
just for context, so
Yeah,
the listener gets it, it's like it's stuff that's like out there in the world, and it's also stuff that's like right next to you, right? That you're talking about.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and, and people tell me, I don't know what my deal is, Anna, like, everything is fine in my life. I mean, nothing is really actively wrong. I mean, no
Yeah.
one's mad at me, I'm not mad at anybody, there's no fire to put out, the kids are good, there's no emergency in my life, so why is it that I just can't relax, that I can't, sit down for 20 minutes and be at peace and be content. Because when I sit down, my mind starts scanning,
Yeah.
always scanning, right?
Do you think we look for this stuff unintentionally?
It's,
Are we always on the
I think
search
that,
for something that's gonna bug us?
I think that it's our programming. I think we've sort of programmed ourselves this way. I think it's also living today in the 2026. I think it's a world we have been living in for many years now.
Yeah.
And the question is like, I'll sit down because I'm guilty of this. And so when I talk with my clients, I've worked really hard on this. It doesn't mean that I don't fall into this still as well. And it's so common. So, I'll sit down on the couch and it's like, okay, what am I forgetting? What do I need? What do I need to do tomorrow? Did I text all those people back? Like it's crazy. Like you and I could be watching a show, but I'm like living in my head.
Yeah.
You would never know it on the outside. People don't know it on the outside. You're at a
Yeah.
business meeting and you're like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, shoot, I forgot to text mom back about what am I bringing to dinner on Sunday? Like, okay, I got, yeah. Oh, shoot, I have to make that reservation. I forgot to make that reservation. This
Yeah.
is what's going on. So
Yeah.
you're not really relaxed. You're always thinking about what you still need to do, what you
Right.
haven't done, what you forgot about. I got to get these teacher gifts. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I drove right by Target. Why did I go in there? I got to get those There you go. That's stressful. That is a nervous system that really is never quieting down.
Right.
I don't think we realize how we are always in stress mode.
Well, yeah. I mean, we live in a world that's highly critical in 2026, right? We just roll this way.
Yeah.
You see it all everywhere you look, you see it all the time. So there's that. I think we're also in a world where it's
Critical of each other or critical of ourselves or both?
I think it's mostly each other or mostly a situation or mostly a decision that someone else made or didn't make or, you know what I mean? We're always you post something online, 1,000% every time, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna give you some negative feedback, some
Me
critical
personally, yeah.
you, anybody,
Anybody,
right?
right.
So there's that, and then I also think, like, we live in this world where we're very self-centered right now, all of us, us included, and it's like we put ourselves on this pedestal of this search for perfection, which is never gonna happen, right? And so because of those 2 things don't cater to, like, a peaceful mindset ever,
Right.
right? And so those 2 things just those 2 things spinning all the time is enough to drive you nuts, and you'll never be able to sit down on your couch for 20 minutes.
And if any of what Tim is saying resonates with you, you need to know that you're not alone, that this is the reason why we're doing this entire episode. I mean, there's a reason why you can't relax, even though nothing is wrong. And there's psychology behind it. So, that's important for you to know to normalize it really in a way, in a healthy way to normalize it, that you're not alone. There's a whole nervous system piece behind all of this for most of us. And, we're going to talk about what you can do to start really changing it, to move out of this.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not just about stress. This is about the fact that, many, many, many of us do not know how to feel peace, and we don't know how to feel a sense of safety in stillness, learning to be still.
Yeah.
Right?
See, I'm looking forward to this.
Meditation's good at this, and yoga is good at teaching us about stillness.
Yeah.
Meditation's really good about stillness. And I cannot tell you, after over now 30 years as a therapist and coaching, this pattern that I have seen in my clients over all these decades about not being able to really sit still, especially in high functioning people.
Yeah.
I see this a lot in high functioning women. More than anybody else, it's in high functioning women. These are people who are capable. These are people who really get things done. I mean, these are people who get shit done. They get it done, right? And they're also the people that we tend to rely on, these individuals, because we know that they'll follow through. They'll get it done for us. You think about your coworkers. You've got people in your mind, and I know because you mentioned them, like they always get things done. They always show up for you. They finish what they say they'll start.
Sure.
And they're the helpers. They are the achievers. These are the caretakers. These are the leaders, right? And they're also the fixers. And if that's you, be careful, because in this probably you're listening just going, yeah, that's me. The outside, these people really look competent, and they look composed, and they look confident. You would really never know what's going on inside their minds, right? But internally, their nervous system it's running on overtime. Right? So the outside world, like I would say, how many times have I had this conversation? So years ago, when I was doing just therapy and my specialty was eating disorders, and I used to see, that's all I did in my practice was eating disorders, anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and the mix of the two. So I didn't do so much the binge eating disorders, but more binge eating. So it was bulimia and anorexia. And with my bulimic clients, we would talk about how nobody walking down the street, if you saw somebody who had bulimia, you would never know. It's a private disorder, but one you would never know by looking at somebody. Anorexia, true anorexia, you can tell because they have an anorexic frame. Very, 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 very thin, right? But bulimia, you would never know. It's sort of the same with this, unless they told you, but they are suffering internally. I mean, it is so much suffering on the inside. And this, in a way, reminds me of that. This always on, always performing, always being that high functioning, capable individual. You would have no idea what they're dealing with. Like most of us, you have no idea what people are dealing with on the inside.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I think in my world of just going to work every day, it's like every week I will hear a story about somebody's personal life. It'll just come up. Whether I hear it because they tell me or I
Yeah.
hear it because someone else told me, and then someone else like, "Oh, did you hear that?" and fill in the blank. And it's never, well, not never. Most of the time, it's not a good story, right? It's something that's bugging them,
Yeah.
right? Or something that they are dealing with inside their head that they bring to work because they have to, because they're human. It's in there. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And they also are able to kind of check that in, at the door most of the time, but you know it's bugging them still,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And then you're like, oh, wow, that person
You
is
know
really
them.
good
Yeah.
at doing this, not hiding their true feelings or emotions, but like kind of masking them,
Yeah.
right? And being able to still give, right?
And these are people who, they really do want that peace in their life. They just don't know how to receive it. They're people who
Right,
do want to, they're exhausted, but they don't know how to power down,
right.
and when they finally get a break, instead of enjoying it, what happens is they can start mentally sort of creating the next problem to solve. And that's the danger. And
Mm,
I am guilty of this. Like,
yeah,
and I've had to work hard at changing this. It's like, no, just sit here and be in this moment. Okay, yes. And it could be something like there's like right now, like we've got 2 big loads of laundry to fold. That's bugging me.
that's
But it's
right.
bugging me.
Yeah,
It's bugging me because
yeah,
it's sitting in our family room and that needs to be done. I don't want to see 2 laundry baskets in my family room. That is a task that needs to be done. Do I want to do it? No. Do I wish I had a laundry person? Yes. And we don't have a laundry person. So I have my work to do. We're podcasting this morning. I have clients after this that I'm seeing. And, there's just things. It's Easter coming up. So I have to think about Easter Sunday and all the food. It's the mental load mostly, I think, of women. There's all this, it's in my head, and that freaking load of laundry
yeah.
that's in our family room that needs folded. And I will not be able to relax. What'll happen is what I'll do is I'll compromise and I'll do it tonight if I'm watching a show, or I'll do it this afternoon if I get a break. I don't want to be doing it. It's got to get done. So I'll listen to a podcast episode and I will double task. And it's not great to do, but it's fine with this because I can listen to a podcast or watch a show that I don't really need to have my eye on the entire time, and I can fold laundry. But that's the thing is I too have to learn to no, Anna, let it sit there,
Mm,
and you go and you rest for 30 minutes. And that means go do a meditation, go take a nap,
yeah,
and let it sit there and stay there. It
yeah,
will get done.
yeah.
And it's okay if the house, see, this is my thing, and this is a lot of my clients. It's okay if the house is a little bit of a mess. I know people who are like, hell no, the house will not be a mess. Because, and I know people who let it be a mess, but they're not happy that way. Their house is disorganized, their house is messy, some houses are dirty, and they're not really happy with it because what that tells many of us is that what your house or your home or your car looks like on the outside can be a reflection of what's going on in your mind. So a clear and organized mind, you'll see that in a clean and organized home. People who are living with these houses that are really messy, not always, but oftentimes that's an indication of what their mind feels like, which I just throw grace for that and compassion because that's a stressful way to live. I
Sure.
coach people on that. That's what the work I do.
Right.
One of the many things I do with my coaching clients is I help people get organized in the externalities of their life so that we can get organized on the inside.
Yeah.
So, all that to say, a lot of people will say things to me like, I'm just someone who likes to stay busy. Okay. Are you? I'm just wired this way. I hear that all the time. This is me. This is my wiring. I'm just wired this way. I've always been like this, or I don't sit well. I don't sit well. I don't sit still very well. When in my group coaching over the years, I've had clients who've not been able to do the homework or not done the homework. And I'm like, all right, here's your accountability. Why did you not do it? Well, I didn't have time. I don't want to do it. And the homework was to sit still. And you would be amazed at people like, I don't want to do that homework. I'm not going to do that homework. And why? Because I don't want to sit still. I don't want to sit still, Anna. I don't want to sit still because it's become like their modus operandi. It's become almost egocentric. It's a part of them. It's who they are. It's how they think of themselves. I don't sit still. I'll sit still when I go to bed. Even then, you're not really sitting still. You're on your phone until you fall asleep.
Yeah.
And that has been really wonderful, fun, and game changing for my clients to do that homework when they're in coaching with me and to see them, because I'm holding them accountable. If they didn't have the accountability, they probably really wouldn't do it. To see them in either one-on-one or in group coaching, all come back to the next session. And I did it. And what was it like for you? Oh my gosh. It was like I had ants in my pants the first 5 minutes, Anna. Some were like the first 10 minutes. And then I just kind of I just leaned into it and I gave into it. And it was kind of nice. And I haven't done that in a long, long time.
There you go.
To learn to sit still, but to quiet your mind.
Yeah. Don't you almost have to start there? Don't you almost have to define what sitting still, quieting your mind is? Because it's not like it's one thing for everybody.
Right.
Right. For somebody, it might be go read a book.
Right.
It might be go for a walk. It might
and
be.
That's exactly what.
Right. But
we're going to get into that. So you're jumping way ahead. Good points.
Yeah.
Really good points. So what is it when people say, so what does it really look like? We started to talk about this already a little bit. What does it really look like when someone says, I can't relax? I mean, it's not all this drama. It's not a panic attack. I mean, there are panic attacks, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. Because if you really have panic attacks, that we're going more into the clinical aspects. That can be more of a panic disorder or an anxiety disorder we see if you're having a true panic attack. I'm not talking about the clinical, the DSM-5 diagnostic category. I'm talking about most of us, most like everyday people. It's not somebody who you can see is visibly like falling apart in front of you. Most times, 90% of the time, you're not seeing it. Even with panic attacks, you wouldn't know, I think, most times someone's having a panic attack. Because people who do have panic attacks are able to keep it on the down low. They can have a panic attack in an auditorium. You wouldn't necessarily know unless you're right next to them or you knew them that they're having a panic attack. Because maybe you could notice the breathing or hear the breathing, or if you knew them, you're like, well, you're really sweating. That could be, but that's not most people, right? Most times it really is a lot. It's much subtler than that, right? It can look like, this is a big one. Sitting down at night and you immediately grab your phone. How many of us have done that? And how many of you know someone who does that? It could look like having a free hour. You're like, wow, I have like nothing to do right now. Like, and when you are in that hour, you feel weirdly agitated. Like it's like, I don't know what to do with myself, right? This is a big one too. Like when you first go on vacation, especially in the beginning, it's like people tell me this. I've been listening to this for more than 30 years. Clients telling me, because I remember this in my early 20s, probably in my internships, clients say to me, I have a headache the first 3 days of vacation. I cannot settle down the first 3 days. Well, why do you have a headache? I think it's your body almost like, what are we doing right now? What are we doing right now? We're by a pool. We're in the sun. We guess what? It doesn't know what you're doing. Your nervous system is fried. I see that a lot. People say to me, it took me 3 days before I could settle down, and now it's day 7. I have to go flying home tomorrow. That's why I think 2 weeks, if you can take 2 weeks, is always really nice. Because it does. Okay, but we're going to talk about ways so it doesn't take you 3 days to settle down. So you can really enjoy your time. I want this to be a practice for all of you in life, so that you know how to move into, your parasympathetic nervous system earlier, sooner, quicker. Okay. One way I see this quite a bit is checking your email, rechecking email when there's not a reason to. It is.
Yeah.
It's a big one. That's a big one for people. Getting off the couch because you got one more thing to do. So you go to sit down or you're on your phone right away. And then you're like up off the couch because there's always one more thing to do. Like I just mentioned with the laundry, there's one more thing to do rather than learning to sit on the couch and relax with whatever it is you're doing, not be on your phone and not get back up to do something else, but learning to sit there. It looks like, finishing your work You finish your work, you've left the office, whether it be at a, outside office or your home office, but mentally you really have never left it. See, that's really common. Waking up at 3 a.m. and your brain is already online. And this is common. 3 a.m., I've talked about this.
Sure.
You wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like, I want to be sleeping right now. But your brain's like, nope, we are awake and we are already thinking about what you got to do tomorrow.
Right.
We are wide awake and you know that your body needs to rest. Like, why is my mind doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, can we go back just for a second?
Yep.
Go back to that first question you asked. You said, have you ever seen somebody where they sit down and the first thing they do is they grab their phone?
Yeah.
I think the question should be, have you ever seen anybody that sits down and the last thing they do is grab their phone? Like, have you ever seen that person?
Well, yeah, because we're all addicted.
Well, but isn't that kind of the root of what drives how we behave as a human?
Yeah.
Right? Not to sound like, oh man, it's all about the phone. It's the phone's problem. But it kind of, that addiction is really what, like, you sit down.
The human race is kind of addicted. If you're in a first, third, maybe a third world country is not as much, but you're in a first or second world country. We were laughing, it was at the holidays, Thanksgiving, when, all the teenagers are in the basement. They're all like lounging on the couch. No one's talking. Everyone's like this.
Yeah.
They're all sitting with one another. They haven't seen each other, but everyone's on their phones looking at Snapchat.
Right. Well, and it's not just like you're looking
and they're snapping each other, although they're sitting right next to each other.
But you're not just looking at one thing to prove your point.
Right.
You're like, you're on, let's pick a platform. You're on Facebook for 30 seconds. Then you flip to TikTok. Then you flip to Insta. Then you text somebody, right? Like
you're on Snap.
You're never actually settled on anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your mind just, which supports exactly what you're saying.
Which supports another reason why we never can feel calm when we feel like something is wrong. So if we really have nothing else going on, well, then let me get on social media. Let me get activated in my parasocial relationships.
Yeah. But then doesn't your being like expect that? Like that's like the new...
The brain we were never meant to be doing this.
Right. But
we were never meant to be this activated all the time. The brain can't handle it.
Right.
Our nervous systems are fried because we can't handle it.
Yeah.
I have somebody a few weeks ago who was someone I've seen since she was in early years of college and is now out of college. One of my wonderful long-term clients who I've seen her through a lot of hard times in her life. And we just have this wonderful, trusting, just great relationship. This is a therapy client. And she was upset about something. Many, many of my clients, whether they be therapy clients or coaching clients, talk about what's going on in the world. I mean, it's existentially feels very scary for many, many people. There's a lot of scary things that are happening right now that worries people, some more than others. And it comes up in conversations, right? Because when if I'm your therapist, if I'm your coach, it's going to come up because I want to know. I don't operate on the surface. I'm never going to do that. And like I always say, that's why people come to me as their life coach, their personal development coach, because we don't spend a lot of time. We're not going to spend weeks and months doing the deep dive because that would be more therapy. And I am going to ask you, we are going to talk about what's going on in your life. We're going to do that check-in. We're going to go there. So if you want to work with me, you know how to find me. You can email me, check out my website, or go to hello@annamarcolene.com. That's my email. Reach out to me. Let's get on a discovery call together. So, and she was talking about what's going on in the world and feeling, she was in the comments. So I think she's probably on TikTok, and TikTok can be pretty, gloves off in the comment section in some of these the algorithm is sending her all the political stuff now. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is awful. Like this is so hateful. This is so evil. The things that people are saying to each other. And it really was getting to her. And I had to remind her once again, you have got to get out of the comment section. I don't even know if you should change your algorithm. Stop watching those posts. Stop watching political posts. It is not good for your mental health. It is affecting her. She already has anxiety. She's done a hell of a job managing and preventing anxiety in her life. She's doing quite well where she really doesn't have that much anxiety anymore. And we've done a lot of hard work to get her out of anxiety. And this is the thing, people, is you can really have a life that's full and happy and contented. And you may be somebody who has anxiety, and you can learn the skills that I teach you to move you out of it. And she's done quite well. And she did a little dip. She took one step forward, two steps back. She took two huge steps back because of social media and being in these political posts and reading the comments. And she was crying. I'm like, all right, we need to stop that. You're not watching reading those posts, and you're not reading comments about the hate, the hate, the hate, the hate that is evil. And so that was probably a month ago or so now. And then the last time we met, she's like, I'm doing much, much better again. So she got right back to where she was. She got back to her now, which is her baseline, which is a really good baseline. It's like, no, I did what you said. I'm not reading. I'm not on there. I'm not following political posts. I'm not reading comments. And wow, what a difference.
Yeah.
So I would say that for all of you, really curate your feed, okay? Because this is contributing to today's episode about why you don't feel calm. You have to pay attention to what you're consuming, because you're consuming all of this. And the brain was never meant to tolerate this. Because she was talking about what was going on in the Middle East. I'm like, listen, we were never meant to see all of this. We were never, and it's good in a way, because like we see what's happening in the ailments of the world, but you have to curate it. You have to put a time on it. Like, okay, so in Africa, all those, okay, I'm not going to talk about it here. Yeah, but we didn't see 30, 40 years ago, we didn't see the news in Nairobi. We saw the big stuff, but you didn't see all the news in South Africa.
Yeah.
You didn't see all the people who were killed in a church in Lebanon, in Beirut. Like, you didn't see all of that. We can't tolerate it.
Yeah.
And what happens is, she was saying, I feel so helpless. There's all this death. Yes. But I know it feels selfish, and you must take care of your mental health and get off social media and stop reading everything that's going on around the world. Because how's it helping? She's like, I feel helpless. Yeah. So, and what's happening in the meantime is your mental health is taking a nosedive down.
Yeah.
Does that, you know what I mean? Does that make sense for everybody? That's why I think that's not helping you to have calm in your life and peace.
Sure. I think we were living it. Like back in the day, you would read about it, right? Like you would read about something after the fact. Right. Like you read a summary
in the paper.
Right? Yeah.
It might be a blurb in the back. Like, I grew up outside of DC. We had the Washington Post.
Yeah.
The Washington Post is a great paper. And we, in DC, you were like, it was amazing, because when I moved to Chicago, my parents would be like, do you know about that? My parents were very politically involved. Do you know about this? You know about that? I'm like, no. Like, what do you mean you don't know about this? Because I get the Chicago Tribune. The Chicago Tribune, we were like kind of snobs being in DC, like getting, feeling like the Washington Post or the Washington Times had the best news. You're like, what do you mean you don't know about this? And I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't on the front page of the Tribune. Calm down, mom and dad. Like, I didn't. But, it's like, in a way, but even the news, like in Argentina or in Brazil, they weren't on unless it was like, I don't know. You know what front page news is, everybody, right? You know what I'm talking about. If there's something that had happened in a smaller city in Argentina, it might be on page 5 or 6. It'd be like an article that was this big.
Right.
It was, you know what I mean?
And it was heavily filtered by some editor before it actually hit the print, right? You're not watching live stream videos of
there you go.
Right?
Yeah, like really good point.
We're watching we're in a movie that's
right.
actually real.
That's good. Good point, Tim.
Versus a little story that you read about that's like curated for everybody to read.
And I would tell you, so what I've been talking about this whole time is actually myself and my client watching someone talking on TikTok or on Instagram, and then reading in the comments, or you're talking about a different animal. And I think that that's much more damaging for our nervous systems.
1000%.
You can't unsee certain things,
or even unhear it when it's live.
You can't unhear it.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Like this Epstein file stuff. Like, I had to yesterday was working out and listening to a podcast episode with this clinical psychologist she's a forensic psychologist, and I really like her. She was starting to talk about talking about things that were done to children.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I can't. I gotta stop. I have to stop. I had to stop my workout and go and press pause. I had to fast forward. I could not. I know me. and I will not be able to unhear this, and I want to know but I don't need to know the details of what happened. It's bad enough. So protect your peace, protect your mental health, because we're hearing things and seeing things, to your point, that you can't unsee or unhear.
Yeah.
And some of us, especially if you're an empath or more of a sensitive individual, you can't it's hard to get past. Like, it stays with you. And like you and I, even watching like horror, we don't watch horror anymore because it's not good for my mental health. But thrillers, some of these
Sure.
thrillers, or something disturbing like a true crime doc. Sometimes we don't always know how it's going to go, and then you and I are watching it. It's very interesting, and you'll say to me, "We might not want to watch this. We got to stop because you're like, Anna, you're not going to be able to sleep tonight."
True.
Because I'll dream it.
Yeah.
My last
Yeah.
memory, and I go to sleep, and I will dream about it, and I will have terrible sleep because of
Yeah.
it.
And it's all basically factual details of a story, right? It's historical stuff and it's real.
Okay.
And you shouldn't probably listen to you.
Exactly.
Shouldn't
Me.
listen to
And
it.
a lot of people are like me too.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so let's go back to the episode. So calm. Calm does not feel safe to everybody. And this is a big thing. And I hear this quite a bit. This is one of the biggest ideas of this entire conversation, which, for some people, calm does feel really good. For many people, calm feels suspicious. Like, they're not used to that feeling and they get suspicious around it. So, because it feels unfamiliar. Calm can feel exposing for a lot of people. It feels like, okay, it's calm right now, but when is the other shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
Right? They're hyper vigilant. They're on alert, always on alert. So this is adrenaline. This is fight, flight, fawn, freeze. When they're always scanning. When's the other shoe going to drop? A lot of that does go back to childhood, and if there's trauma, that can, and that does not just come out of nowhere, right? It usually, there's a history to it. So if you grew up around unpredictability, if you grew up around criticism, emotional volatility, you just never knew was when somebody was going to flip out or be in a bad mood. And it's not always drama. Sometimes it's like, mom is why is mom in a bad mood? Like, why is she giving us, why is not mom not talking? It's like, she's bad mood, but she's giving us all the silent treatment this morning. Like, what? That is a mind screw. That's a mind screw for people. If you grew up around, tension with maybe your parents, tension with your brother and your mom, or your sister and your dad, if you grew up around, or chaos, like I said, addiction, instability, or just even just an environment where you had to read the room all the time. You always were scanning and reading the room. Your body learned that you staying vigilant was smart. You're a smart little person. Now you're a smart adolescent. You're a smart adult. You be vigilant. You've got to always be reading the room, because you need to. It's like you're always like your home is like you're in a war zone. You need to know what's in front of you right now. What do I deal with? Mom's going to make a sarcastic comment. She's going to be in a bad mood. Okay. What am I dealing with today? Because some days mom's fine, in a happy mood and calm and happy, and like, here's your lunches, here are your forms, all signed, blah, blah, blah. Make sure, have a good day. And then the next day, or the next day, or the next day, you don't know what you're going to get.
Interesting.
That's a hard way to grow up, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you had to learn to pay attention to other people's moods. Maybe you had to stay useful. Maybe you had to stay good. Be a good girl, be a good boy. You learned that was an important role for you. Maybe you had to stay high performing. There's people pleasing there. You stayed high performing. Well, you're pleasing to your parents. You didn't make waves. You loved that they loved that you had good grades, or that you were a good athlete. Maybe you had to sense problems before they came problems. Maybe you're someone who had the extra special radar, that sonar radar on the home, and that was your job. It was implicit that was your role, right? Because in families, we usually have roles, right?
Yeah.
You were the quiet people pleaser.
Sure.
You were.
Yeah.
You were the quiet one. You were the obedient child. You were the people pleaser. You were taught, and that's how you were until probably well into your 30s. I was more the clown. I was the happy person, the clown, the funny person. I enjoyed that role, and I knew that people enjoyed it. People got something out of it. So that was my job. And if I ever stepped out of it, which I did a couple of times, I was punished for it. Like, got upset or got annoyed, got tired of the dynamic. I got yelled at. Like, stop it. You be quiet. Pipe down. Knock it off, Anna. So you learn. You sit back down. You get back into your role
Yeah.
because you were told knock it off.
Yeah.
If you were ever rebellious, man, would there have been hell to pay for you? And you never were,
For sure.
right?
Yeah, for sure. So wait, let me ask the question I think that we all are asking. So it sounds like there's two things here. One, there's a little bit of self-preservation. So
Yeah.
it's like, right? So there's that. Like that doesn't allow you to relax because you need to be scanning and making sure that something's not coming your way. And if
Right.
it is, you need to quickly handle
Right.
it. And then it sounds like there's also a little bit of a FOMO situation here where it's like you can't relax. Nothing's really presenting danger, but it's out there and you feel like you're not really part of it, right?
And that's more of as you get into adulthood. Well, I don't know about the FOMO. What do you mean FOMO?
Well, if you're trying to get to a state, you're trying to coach somebody to a state of being able to relax,
right?
And one of the scenarios is, well, I need to be mindful of how mom's going to react, right, or how this person's going to bring something to the table that I need to deal with because it might not end so well for me. But I think there's also
I need to stay on top of the family dynamics here, and I need to stay on top of the emotional climate with mom and dad and my siblings in the house, the kitchen, like what's happening, the environment, the emotional climate of this home.
Right.
And that translates to I need to stay on top of my emails. I need to stay on top of work. I need to stay on top of the laundry. I need to stay on top of the kids. I need to stay on top of everything because I'm the scanner. I'm the one who makes everything better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it can, for certain individuals,
Sure.
which is one example of how it can translate into adulthood.
Right.
I can't relax.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to watch a show, I'm going to do something else as well.
Right.
Or I'm going to get on my phone.
Yeah. And then the other side of it is, so you're afraid of what you're missing out on, right? So maybe it's not something like that where it's like,
I don't see that.
Well, I would think that would be standard. Like, it's like,
what do you have FOMO? What does the person have FOMO about?
Well, maybe there's something going on outside of my office in a different office or in a different part of my business or in my house. There's another conversation that's going on over in the basement. And I would choose to be part of that.
Oh, control.
And maybe I don't even know it's going on,
it's control.
but it's in my head that it might be going on.
Because we need that sense of control.
Yeah.
That's calming for us. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't following.
Yeah.
So that can be calming.
Sure.
When I will neurotically try to control my life.
Yeah.
And I say it neurotically because it can go overboard. It gives me a sense of false calm, false peace.
Yeah.
Control. I'm going to control what's happening in the basement. I'm going to control what's happening at work. I can control what's happening in that conference room. I'm going to control as best I can. I'm going to have all my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
That's a hard life. Man, that's hard.
But I think that's pretty common, right?
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was the FOMO, the fear of missing out because you control every aspect of your life, aspect of everybody else's life. Your spouse, your kids, maybe your colleagues, your coworkers.
Right.
They may not want you to do that. You need to do that because that's what's worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it doesn't allow you to just it's almost like somebody needs to create like this magical app on your phone that when you want to go to this calm place, and I'm sure somebody's going to be like, well, there already are mindful yoga, all the different things. But like something where it's just like you just know I'm going to go sit down for 15 minutes and whatever this magical app is, I'm going to turn it on. And maybe it's white noise and maybe it's music and maybe it's whatever it is for you, right? But you go there and everything else shuts off. Not just like pauses, it shuts off for a second, right?
Yeah.
So you can just go away mentally for a moment and just chill.
And when you are someone who experiences this and you live this way, the alarm bells are going off and they're not loud alarm bells, but they're always like kind of ringing because it's like I said earlier, wait for the other shoe to drop or something's coming. Don't get too comfortable.
Yeah.
Don't let your guard down because something's coming, and I don't mean to be dramatic in saying that. It's just your conditioning. You have been conditioned this way. Your body learned, it's in the body. Your body learned that you need to stay mentally busy, prepared, or alert. That's how you reduce risk. We reduce risk of something coming when we're like, all right, I'm ready. You're like a soldier all on the front. The
Well,
front lines, you're always ready for, the first shot. I'm ready. I'm ready. So when life can get quiet for you, rather than really relaxing in that moment, you start doing that scan,
yeah.
right? You prepare, you anticipate, you think ahead.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was gonna bring that part up because I think that's also gives us a bit of, excuse me, context too. You're talking about a world of personal survival when you're talking about war, like,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yeah.
and also the people that live in the area where war is happening.
You know how people grew up in war zones in their families
Yeah, but like,
at some level. I mean,
but think about that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about things that like aren't going to take you out, right?
right.
Necessarily. So give it a little bit of context for yourself.
Well, but they don't feel that way. That's not how their nervous system, their mind thinks. Their mind thinks they will get taken out.
Okay, but they're not. They won't, right? It's not gonna take you
Well, that's that.
out.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that. Like, what do you? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna go there. Okay, so for many people, productivity is your identity. So this is, how we've learned to, the busy, 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 and the productivity. It's like, oh, and you got a lot of rewards for that somewhere along the way. You probably from your parents, maybe
Mm,
from your teachers, maybe from your coaches, maybe from your professors in college, or you just your friends. Like, wow, like look at you, like you are like a machine. Like look how productive you are, and really, you're successful. You've look at what you're doing. I can't do all those things. I don't do all those things. Like you're up at 5 a.m., you're at your Pilates class, and then you showering and you're at work and you're killing it. And, look at, you eat well and you do all the things and look how you're just like, you had a presentation, you just killed it, that presentation, or you're just busy, busy and producing all day. You're answering emails, you're answering texts, like you're doing the things and you're coming home and you're, cooking dinner, but it's like now you're doing all the family stuff and you're making plans for the weekends and you're staying in like that is, oh my gosh, even me saying it, I think that's stressful. But productivity, everybody, I'm like, oh my God.
I'm already tired.
And that's their identity, but
Right.
their productivity has become their identity, right?
Yeah.
So, you were, and many of these people, they were praised, like I said, by the adults in their life for being like mature and being the person who, for being responsible, for being helpful, for being organized. You got praised for being successful. You're the reliable one, you got praised for being the one who could handle things. Let's call Anna. She can handle it. Let's call Tim. He can handle it. Let's call Sue. Sue knows what to do. She will take the bull by the horns and she'll get it done.
Yeah.
So we go to Sue all the time because Sue's like a ball buster. And Sue's the person who will get this problem complete and finished for us. Sue's the person who's going to email that person for me.
Right.
That
Right.
right. They will take care of it. Those traits are not bad. Many of them are just really, they're beautiful. They're wonderful traits, right? But it can go awry, right? So
Can I say one thing?
yeah,
I mean, what you're describing is kind of how it works, right? Like from the time you're like in first grade to the time you're in graduate school, you're a doc, you're encouraged to study more, to put in more time for in your homework, right? Don't take like, has anybody ever said like, hey, study a lot, like your prof or your teacher,
yeah,
and don't forget, take a few hours and take a break this weekend? No one ever says that. It's like, no,
yeah,
study more, get ready for that test. There's going to be a pop quiz on Monday. Like
yeah,
it's ingrained in you
yeah,
since you're 6, right? Look at we have
yeah.
our son is in law school. Barely takes time to eat any food because he has to study, work, present. It is all the
Papers,
time.
papers,
It's
papers,
nearly
study.
24/7. It's 23/7.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, that's law school for you.
Well, I think it's life. I
I
think
know.
it's sad, right? Like
It's the higher levels, I think, law school, medical school.
but you start learning it when you're young. You really do. If you think about it.
He didn't learn it when he was young.
Well, he did.
He
Well,
was the opposite. He was the opposite.
I'm not saying that
He learned
everybody
it as an
learned
adult.
it, but it's encouraged when you're
Yes.
young,
Right, right,
right?
right, right, right. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that, when for these individuals, what happens is that's Grafton. He's a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer. And, you know, I had ADHD, I have ADHD, and I was never took meds for it. So I had to learn other ways of managing my lack of focus and when I was a kid, my hyperactivity, but my inattentiveness and my lack of focus. I had to learn different behavioral techniques to sort of grow up and mature and do well in school, but I didn't have that in high school and I didn't have it like my freshman year of college. But I was always a student that did well and got by and I never was in trouble academically, but I knew I could have done better, but I didn't know how to do it. And then it wasn't until like my freshman year when I was put on academic probations and I got a letter from the dean of students telling me if I didn't raise my grades, I was going to get kicked out of college. I was like, oh, that was my wake up call, for me. But yeah, I mean, and then my identity changed because I did do very well academically, and that became a huge part of who I was. And in graduate school, me getting a 4.0 was a part of who I was. And that translated into other areas of my life of being somebody who just sort of knocked it out of the park. I liked that feeling. I did like what it did for me and my identity because I was always this kid who was like immature and silly. I mean, I was always like the funnest person to hang out with, and laughter and comedy and humor and playing pranks on people was just so much fun. And I hung around those people. And, I was thinking this morning as I was doing my meditation this morning and in my prayers, I was thinking about memories of growing up and I was like, wow, I've laughed a lot throughout my life. I've laughed a lot because I've been silly and, had a love to have a good time. I've loved to party. I love to party. I partied way too much in high school. The later years, I partied too much in college. But I did have a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughter and there's a lot of funny memories that went along with it. Thank God, there for the grace of God go I, that nothing bad happened to me or my friends. But we were there were moments of craziness.
Yeah.
And, all that to say, but my identity really changed. I got very serious but it went too much. It went too much the other way of being successful and productive, and to this day right now, I sort of still deal with it. And I have to do all the what I'm talking about today. I have to employ these practices, which I'll get into more with all of you. I have to do these myself because I went the other way of sort of being neurotic of like, I mean, I have neuroses of being kind of rigid. This is how it goes. And I'll get on you about things. And that's too much.
Yeah.
And that's something we're not talking about in this episode, but when you are this way, you can make the lives of your paramours, your spouses, your loved ones pretty miserable. Because if you're neurotic and you're always, trying to, you can never relax. You don't want anybody else around you to relax. You're like, no, there's always things to do. That's not right.
Yeah.
That's not right. I grew up that way. My mom was a busy person. This is probably also an episode for my 90-year-old mother. She never relaxed and she didn't really want us to relax. I used to remember I'd be in my bedroom. I was probably like 11, 12, 13. I'd be reading because I loved reading. And if she saw me on my bed reading in the middle of the day and I had chores still to do, she was going to get after you. Like, what are you doing? You got to get she just didn't want you relaxing because she had 8 kids in this huge house and she was always cleaning. She was always doing something. She never sat down other than to eat a quick lunch and she sat down for dinner. My mom never really relaxed. So I used to go and run and hide in the closet. I hid in the closet. I hear her.
Why?
You know how you hear people's footsteps?
You didn't want to get called to action or what?
No, I didn't want her to bug me. She was bugging me. Remember, how in houses, like, your mom's footsteps, your dad's, your siblings, how people walk. And we had hardwood floors on the stairs. There was carpet on it, but you knew where people, I knew because she was a quiet walker. I knew it was her coming up. I could hear her coming. Well, if she was talking to somebody, I knew she was coming. But there were times she was coming upstairs quietly. I knew it was her. And I'd run off my bed and go get in my closet and sit down behind my clothes. And I'd see her. I knew she was like looking in my bedroom, looking for us. Then she'd continue on to her bedroom. Like, I'd be in there with my book. And she'd say, the coast clear? Okay. But I wouldn't go sit on my bed again. I'd go somewhere else in the house or turn on the light in the closet and read in the closet. I would hide from her.
Interesting.
But then I became that way.
I was going to say, there's times we can't find you. So now I'm starting to think of where are the hiding spots?
No, I'm like my mom. I'd get everybody. I do it to you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
No, I'm like my mom. I'm like, Tim, do this, do that. And you're like, I've done it to my kids.
Maybe I need to be listening better.
Poor Marissa, when she was like 5 years old, she goes, Mommy, I'm not an octopus. And I was like, oh.
I'm pretty sure I just said that yesterday. right?
Well,
And
that was note
and
to
the day
self because she
before.
was a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
kid. And I
yeah.
was like, Marissa, clean your room, pick up those toys, put that away. I was like barking orders at this little kid, probably around picking up toys or cleaning her room and making her bed. And she, I'm not because, or clean up the sink in the bathroom. Well, that's not right.
What do I call
I'll never
you?
forget
What
that.
do I call you right now? I've used it probably twice
Shiny
this.
ball.
Well,
You
there's
call me
that's
that.
another
That's my
one.
attention
That's
deficit.
that's another one. But what else do I call you? What did I say? You missed your calling. You should have been a fill in the blank.
No, you said a lot of things to me over the years, Tim. That should have
Captain
been.
of a pirate ship.
Yeah, you do
I say that all the
See, that's the
time.
thing. You say this stuff
Let's
to me all.
go.
You
Get
say
the
this stuff to me all the
everybody.
time.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get
I don't
this.
even.
I'm
I
like,
don't even listen anymore.
well, and
I don't even
neither
listen.
and neither do the crew members, right? We're all like, okay, what's up? Like, what's up with this? Like, she's gonna settle down in a minute, right? Like, it's facts.
See, that's me. When I get activated,
It's so true.
when I get activated, there's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
I start barking orders. I know. And I have been this way my whole life. I told you all, I've said it on the podcast before. I was like 6 years old. I'll never forget it because it was, I remember my mom, she always had an apron on. My mother never stopped.
I could tell
She
the
had
story.
an apron on and it was some ugly orange and green, yellow 70s colored, popular 70s apron with her brown bouffant hairdo. And she was at the sink and I was walking through with my sisters, probably Maria and Paula and my friends in the neighborhood. And I was the ring leader. We were going from one part of the house to the other you have to go to the kitchen.
Captain Anna.
And I remember she stopped me. She goes, Anna, come here. I'll never forget it. She knelt down, so eye level with me. She goes, you are a leader, but you're bossy. And if you don't stop being so bossy, you're not going to have any friends.
There you go.
I was like, huh? I didn't know what she was talking about. I just remember the intense look in her eyes staring at me. I'm like, what do you mean? All I remember, that stayed with me, and that was a memory that came back decades later. I'm like, oh, my mom called me a leader, and I was 6 years old or 5 or 6. I'm proud of that.
You heard that part
I
of
heard
it.
the leader. No, I remembered that later. At the time, what I
Right.
remember was her telling me you're bossy.
Yeah.
The message at that time was stop being bossy. But as I got older, I was like, wow, my mother, because as a mother, you're listening, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking dinner, and there's a play date over, and you're listening to the dynamics of the children.
Sure.
You're listening to your daughter, your son, you're listening to, that's what she's doing. She's listening with her, us parents, we have big ears. We're listening to what's going on. We're listening to the conversation. She's listening. Like Anna is running the show here, but she's bossing everybody around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still have that in me. So I'm going to work on that. Well, I didn't know you told me I was ahead of a pirate ship. I don't
Stop it. I say that all the time. Then
See,
you need to listen
I don't
better because
listen.
and if you asked any one of our kids, I bet you they could finish.
You
that
know why?
sentence.
Because I'm like, I don't care. We got to get stuff done. The house needs cleaned up or whatever.
Shocking.
Help me out. Well, because that goes back to the mental load of being a woman and being a mother. You're not like me, and you're such a chill guy, which is wonderful balance to me with my neurotic, overachieving. Let's go, let's go, let's go, but it's also the mental load of women. I will tell you, like I guess you're in a walk, like these are all the things that are in my head. You don't have them in your head.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about. So I'm thinking Easter is on Sunday. We're going to church. Are your shirts dry cleaned? It's Grafton. You guys have your collar. So I am taking your clothes to the dry cleaner to make sure you have clothes to wear. You're not thinking about that, but it's Monday and I'm thinking about what's happening on Sunday.
Sure.
I got to get the Easter baskets out because our adult children want Easter baskets. So I have to go to Walmart and Target and get Easter candy. You're not doing that. I'm doing that.
Right.
I know what everybody likes in their Easter basket. I am thinking about the food. I'm thinking I'm decorating. I'm thinking about all these things that you're not thinking about. And that's on top of me having my business, podcasting, my website work that needs to be done, the group coaching that's happening, my individual client therapy and coaching clients. That's all that. I could go on about, my business life, right?
Sure,
The social media that has
Yeah.
to get done. And at the same time, so this is the life of a woman. This is a life of, I think, some of you men who are watching and listening, you have this too, but 93% of the people who are watching and listening to this podcast, I just looked at the stats, are women. And they know what I'm talking about. It's like, all right, I got to think of, I went to Costco. I went to Aldi. I have to still go to another grocery store because I need to get the leg of lamb at Costco. I am cooking. So these are all the things that I am doing. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn because sometimes I think you forget all the things that, oh, yeah, I'm doing all of this. You're
Yeah.
doing things too, of course. You are. But this is the mental load of what's
Yeah.
going on. And you're busy. You're both crazy busy with our jobs.
Yeah.
You are too. But that's what's going on in my mind. So on Saturday, if I'm like, Tim, we have to wash the dogs need bathed because we have these big hound dogs and they smell right now. So we got to bathe the dogs. We have to wash their beds. There's things like I am, and you're fine to do it, but this is the stuff, and I know you have your own things that you're doing, but this is the part of the mental load. And goes exactly into this episode of why so many of us have a hard time relaxing.
Right. And so let's take this full circle. So I think if I'm hearing you, so there's things in your mind that the boxes you need to check,
Yeah.
right? Let's use Easter for an example,
Right.
right? So you go to this air quotes, pirate of the ship mode where you're like, all right, you do this. We got to get this, all the things. I think you're doing that so that you can release it. Right?
Absolutely.
Like
because I check it off the mental list in my mind.
If you say it, then you release it for yourself and you're like, all right, I'm giving now ownership of this task to you. Right? So that I can take that and fill that up either with peace, relaxation, or another task. Right? Am I hearing you right?
Sure.
Yeah. And then for us, it's like, and I'm thinking from the point of view of a male, I don't know that we connect those dots.
I don't think you do.
Right. I think because like you'll give me like in 30 seconds, I might have like 4 things to do. And I haven't even taken a step towards getting the first one done. And in my mind, I haven't put those things in order in terms of like, what's the most critical thing, right? All I know is there's 4 things and I don't know.
I have to do it once.
How fast can I get any of them done so I can move to the next one, right? So there's different ways that you say stuff and there's ways that we receive it.
Right.
And then when I say we, it's everybody in the world. But like you hear something.
All the men in relationships with women like me.
Yeah. Right. But it's just, I think it's good for people to hear this, that it's like, okay, there's dynamics of like in people's mental capacities, like that are affecting how we say stuff, how we hear stuff and receive stuff, and then how do we hit go? Like, how do we do stuff then, right? And it's always different.
Well, you're talking about being the loved one or being the partner of someone like me, and like those who are the episode today about there's nothing wrong in my life. Why can't I relax?
Right.
You're the partner of that person.
Right. But it doesn't even have to be a partner. It could be at work. It could be your boss giving you 6 things to do, and you're like, ooh. But just now,
well, at work, I think it would irritate you. At home, it can irritate you too. But you're like, why are they like that?
Well,
stop doing that, because at home you'll bark back or you'll clap back at them.
Yeah,
you don't clap back at me, but you're like, oh my gosh, like you just gave me something else to do. That's because my mind. And it's funny you say that. We've never talked about this before. You and I have never had this conversation before. And you do say that to me all the time. Like, you just told me, Anna, you just told me like 2 things to do. Now you want me to do this. I am already past that.
Right.
I'm on to the 4th and 5th thing.
Right.
And I'm like, because I am also doing that for myself.
Right.
I already have 5 things, like I just said.
Right.
I'm like, Tim, get with the program.
Yeah.
And you're frustrated by it. I also physically move quicker than you.
Yeah.
You literally move slower than me. I'm very like type A. You're more type B. So you move slower and you're like, let me get to it. Men can't multitask the way women can. None of us should really be multitasking. We know the science on that now. I need to get better at single tasking, even myself. But with the mental load of a woman, it's hard. So I will try to get 4 or 5 things off my mental load list and give them to you that you can do. And you're like, I just am trying to do the first one. I'm like, no, move quicker. Go quicker. You got to get it done. And that's something that you and we do this like once a week, right? All the time with each other.
Which part?
This back and forth with each other. Where I'll like tell you, do this, do that, do this, do that. Or you got to do this, you got to do that.
Once a week? Really? I mean, maybe that's
every day.
Your understanding of it, but it's probably more like once a day. Right? There's moments. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. It just is. It's just life. It's just how it goes.
Because I think as a woman, if I didn't tell you these things, and I think it's me like and believe me, like our house is not like the most erotically clean, pristine home. Well, let me tell you, it's not. I mean, there's there's always something to be done, right? And it's like we have laundry baskets are sitting around, laundry's not folded for a few days. Like with this, I like my sister's very organized. I wish I was more like my younger sister, but I'm not like her. I will let things sit. I will, but men, and my dad was like this, and I used to say this to my mom, "How do you handle dad?" Like, I'd go in, like, their bathroom in the morning after he'd left for work, and there'd be water everywhere, and my mother was such a neat freak. I'm like, "Mom, how do you handle dad? That's a slob. Like, your sink is there's water all over the sink, all over the counter." And this she's like, "Oh, yeah, go clean it up." She was so good about it,
Yeah.
and, like, it would drive me like, yeah, she was really good about it with my dad. Like, she just threw him all the grace because my dad, he was worked crazy hours.
And it wasn't gonna change.
And it
So
wasn't gonna
why
change.
stew
I
on it?
know, I know.
It's how it
But it
goes.
drives me crazy,
Yeah.
though, when there are dishes that are still in the sink from you and, like, the boys. Well, Grafton's not good. Tyler's the opposite. Tyler's amazing. Tyler's such a great cleaner. But you and Grafton, like, you might let things sit or, you don't care if beds aren't made. I do care if beds are made. Like, those are things that they're just a little that's learning how to live life with each other
Yeah.
and learning to throw each other grace and learning to like, all right, I don't prefer it this way, but now he's left for work and he didn't do this. Like, all right, we love each other. It's like, all right, well, that's just who he is you do sometimes I think we forget that we're doing the best we can. I think you get into problems when it's like they're not doing the best. I don't think they are doing the best they can. I don't know. I mean, we're kind of going off on a tangent here about that, but I think that it's learning to throw each other grace, but you and I do operate differently. I am more this episode. This is more me
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah.
But this is so common with this. These are conversations I have with
Everybody.
clients
Yeah, for sure.
all the time.
Yeah. But I think that's why that's why we're saying all this stuff.
Right.
Is that like if you hear this, it's going to give you a different take on it, maybe, hopefully, right? The next time.
So, and I'm going to have to fast forward some of this because there's so much to say here. There are people who can't relax because they're really addicted to the adrenaline. And that doesn't so much resonate for me, but I do know people who are addicted to this adrenaline high and they don't even realize it. Right. So, they get so used to living in stress that calm feels boring, flat, or just wrong for them.
Yeah.
And I know these individuals. These people come to me for coaching, and learning to like, no, I don't want that. I don't want calm. No. That's not the life I want. That's boring. Well, they don't realize, and it's not because they love stress or that they want to be suffering, because something in their life is not working and they kind of are suffering and they don't know life to really be any different. The body got used to being activated, and you can really get used to this feeling of just go all the time, right? You get used to this feeling of urgency in your personal life and in your work life. You get used to pressure, you get used to stimulation, you get used to all the things of like, solving problems, right? And when things finally slow down, they don't go, like, thank God, like now I get my break. No. They go, no. What now? What's next? They don't want to sit still. And we're going to get into some of the reasons, and what will happen is they'll create a new problem. They'll create a new stress for themselves. Like, they'll find something to worry about. They'll find something to organize next in the house.
Yeah.
Or to on their desk. They'll find something to plan or to fix, or they'll find something to anticipate next. I mean, you're nodding like, yeah.
No, I think there's people that roll through life that like to present that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
because it's identity. I
think that's their game,
and they don't know how to do this different.
Right.
It is their game,
right?
And it works. It's like you was tonic.
I think that we all are onto them, right? Like we all know the person that presents this way, who old school video will come in through the room like the Tasmanian devil. Right. And just everything's spinning like crazy, 100 miles an hour. And they exit. The tornado's gone. It's like they leave. Everything's in shambles. Nothing really got done. And the rest of us are all left to like pick up the pieces.
Because they would rather be with the familiar discomfort
Yes.
rather than living with this unfamiliar peace.
Right.
They're familiar with discomfort. They're familiar with stress. They know that. They would rather sit in that all day long than be in this discomfort that comes up for you around peace and quiet. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Let's just find what's next.
Yeah.
Right? I'm snapping my fingers.
So what is that? Is that, are they just so driven by their own need to like continue to push the accelerator?
Your nervous system doesn't trust it. Your nervous system doesn't trust it yet. Your nervous system doesn't know how to be in calm, doesn't know how to be in contentment, doesn't know how to be in peace. So until you learn how to find that and be in that, you're always going to be go, go, go.
I just
And even if you're not behaviorally, in your mind you are.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, so here's the thing. What is it really about? And you asked this question earlier in the episode. What are you really afraid of? The idea of telling somebody to rest can bring up things for them that they have been out running for years. So what is it really about? What are you really staying away from? That's the big question here, So this is something I think, I know, I'm having these conversations, but and a lot of coaches are not going to go here with you because they're not going to do this deep dive stuff that I do. What's really going on here? What have you really been out running? What are you really trying to stay away from? Because when we slow down, when we quiet ourselves, what percolates to the surface? What starts to come up for you? What's going on? It's that still, small, quiet voice tapping on the shoulder. Hey, I'm here. Always been here. I'm not going away. But when you say busy, 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 so fine, busy, 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 you keep talking, you keep moving, then that voice can't come up. But when you quiet down, I cannot tell you the amount of conversations I've had with clients over the years about this very thing. That's why in my individual clients, my group coaching, people come back to the next session. No, I didn't do the homework. Why didn't you? Damn it, Anna, I didn't want to because I'm afraid of okay, fine. I'm afraid of what's going to come up. There you go. Bingo. That's what you got to look at. That's what you have to deal with. That's what you need to sit with and you need to process.
Yeah.
What's really coming up for you, what's percolating to the surface, right? That you are sad, that you are lonely, that you have disappointment, that you have resentment inside of you, that you've been carrying for years, that you're angry about something. There's an emptiness. You've go, done, perform. And here you are, and I feel empty.
Yeah.
Or that I am tired.
Yeah.
I'm actually exhausted. I'm tired. I'm burnt out.
There you go.
That's what you've been running from.
Yeah.
As an example.
And I think you defined the third category, right? We talked about like why you're not able to chill. Not you, Anna, but like us, all of us.
Right.
Like there was the self-preservation, there was the fear of missing out. And the third one is just being able to like not let yourself mentally go to the place where you don't want to go.
And that you really need
right?
to.
And you really need to. But that's a third category to itself.
And I have this inside of me, and I've done work on this for so many years to, when I start to get neurotic and start barking orders, that for me it is stress. And there's always something going on inside of me. And sometimes you'll say to me, okay, baby, what's going on? What's really going on? And that will give me pause and stops me in my tracks. Sometimes it literally stops me in my tracks, but it will stop me mentally and emotionally. Like, what am I feeling right now? Why am I being this way? Why am I being like so neurotic towards Tim? Like, do this or that. There's something else that's going on.
Yeah.
It almost always is. Sometimes it's like, well, we have a lot of work to do. We got to get the house cleaned up because we've got people coming over Sunday.
Yeah.
Most times, though, there's something bothering me that you would never know. And then when you ask me that question, and I've said that, I'm like, well, I'm actually really upset about this or that. And you're like, geez, like, good thing you asked. And I told you, because if you didn't ask that question, I don't even know if I would have thought to have told you. because we're like, you got to go to work in 10 minutes, and sometimes what we're walking the dogs, I'll tell you, like, this is what's really going on. But well enough now to know, like, what is really going on with you right now?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question. If you have someone in your life that is this way, ask them that. Hey, babe, honey, what's really going on right now? Because you're wound up.
Right.
What's happening?
Right.
Ask that question of them.
Ask the question. I think a good visual for that is like the two of you, whoever you two are, in this case, it's you and me. We're on this treadmill that's going 100 miles an hour, right? And
Can't slow
and I'm
down.
gonna well
Can't slow
not
down.
I'm gonna ask you to take a step onto the side rails for a second, right? That's the visual. Like, all right, let's let life go, keep going. You and I are gonna take a step to the side, and we're gonna figure out like what's up,
Yeah.
and then we can jump back onto
You can
this
jump
thing and
back on.
go.
Slow the treadmill down. Slow it down. You don't want to be running that fast.
Right.
Slow it down. You can still run, but slow it down.
Right.
But jump off it for a minute. What's happening? Come on. Let's stop. Stop. You need to stop. Stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. This past weekend, we were at our friend's lake house, and it's, so we're there in March, and it's not summertime, which is busy up there because they've got all the fun water toys that everybody's on. But when we're there in the winter months, it's just very calm, quiet. You just stare at the lake. And we went up there this weekend, and it was kind of it can sometimes be hard for me to go, but when I get up there, I love it because it's such a reset to my nervous system. You just wake up and it's quiet, and we're all quiet, and everyone gets up because everybody needs it. Everyone gets up. No one talks. Everybody just goes and gets their coffee. People are in different parts of the house, or sitting and looking at the lake in the warmer months. Someone's out on a dock, sitting on the dock, staring at the water, and everyone's and I didn't realize it last summer. I'm like, when it was just the adults up there, no kids, like everybody here needs this. And
Yeah.
it's such a gift that they give to us, that they're so wonderful with their lake house. They need it. We all need it. Everybody's going the 50, everyone's going 100 miles an hour all the time because everybody's still working. And it's I notice it, like, oh, everybody wants to be alone by them. Spouses are not together. People are just doing their own thing because everybody needs that reset. So I hope for all of you, you can find that somewhere in your life, in your own home. Okay, so we'll get into how you find it. And I could talk about this for hours. Of course, already we're running out of time. So, high functioning anxiety, it hides itself very well in most of us. I mean, this pattern does live under the umbrella of high functioning and high functioning anxiety for most people. And this is the group coaching I'm going to start next. This is not a formal diagnosis. Like I said earlier, this is not something that's, it's not dramatic enough that other people in your life would even notice it. But it's a very real pattern that many, many people, mostly women, deal with. This is the woman who performs well, right? This is the one who looks great on paper. Like I've said, gets things done, handles a lot, right? And because she is so competent, and these men and women are competent, everybody just assumes that they're okay. Like, you're killing it. You're killing it in everyday life. But competence does hide a lot in people, right? They could look polished on the outside, but be deeply dysregulated on the inside, right? She can be productive and chronically tense. She can be successful and really just not able to rest. So rest feels guilty, these people. They just feel guilty, and this is a big one. And this is something I have had to work on. I've had to work on when I'm at rest, feeling guilty. I think I told you the other day, like, why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel guilty? And that's a deep dive that each of us, if you feel this way, you got to do it. And I hope that you're working with somebody on this, because this is the work that I do with my clients, and it's the work that I've done with my own coaches. Why do I feel guilty?
Yeah.
Learning to stop overperforming. All right. So, what doesn't work? Here, I'm going to save you some time. Telling yourself just to relax, yeah, that's not going to work here. That's useless. Shaming yourself doesn't work. It's also a waste of your time to shame yourself or to tell yourself just to relax. Waiting till everything is done before you rest, yeah, that day is never coming. That day is never coming for you, right? Using your phone as your only form of downtime, yeah, it may distract you in the moment, but it does not settle you. It's never going to settle you. Okay? telling yourself this is just your personality. No. That's a convenient excuse for you to not look deeper at yourself. So I would tell you to stop doing that. It's not just your personality. You can change this, right? Getting more insight, but never practicing anything different. You've got the insight, but you don't do anything different. Yeah, insight matters. Insight's very important, but insight alone does not rewire your nervous system. You have to take action to rewire your nervous system. Okay. So this is where a lot of smart people get stuck, right? They understand themselves beautifully. They understand how they are, and they can explain exactly why they do what they do, right? And they just keep on going. They just keep on doing it. So you got insight and you're not changing anything.
Yeah.
Explanation is not the same as change. So, change requires repetition. It requires practice. It also requires teaching your body that stillness is survivable. Actually, it's thrivable. Stillness is where you thrive. If you can give yourself into stillness and quiet and calm and contentment, you have no idea what good stuff is on the other side of that. Actually, you will do better at work. You'll do better in your personal life, but you got to do that first. Okay. So what actually helps? What helps? First, you need to stop asking yourself, why can't I relax? That's not helpful. Start asking yourself, what does slowing down bring up in me? What does slowing down bring up in me? That's a much better question for yourself to ask, because the answer may be, it may bring up guilt, fear, like I said before, restlessness, loneliness, sadness, pressure, the sense that I'm falling behind everybody else, the sense that I'm being lazy. That's a big one for people. I don't be lazy. The feeling that I don't know who I am when I'm not doing. Do, go, go, be. Like when I'm not doing, being the person that there's the doer. I don't know. I don't know who I am, right? That's useful information for you. So, and secondly, it's important that
hold on, let me just add to that.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I think it's also beneficial to look at what you do gain, not what you're losing out on by
Right.
slowing. Like, what are the benefits of slowing down? Consider those things also, right? No?
Yeah.
I would think that would be as much, if not even more of a benefit.
But first
to
you have to start with, when I slow down, what comes up for me? What do I imagine might come up for me? Or actually making the decision to slow down and sitting with yourself and seeing what's starting to percolate to the surface.
Yeah. So you're kind of looking at the things, you're defining the things that are going to come up that are going to bug you, right? And
that you don't like, that's uncomfortable, might bug you and make you feel things on the inside you don't want to feel.
Or just your ability to not be able to turn other things off, right? That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Because you're missing out on something else,
Yeah.
or you're missing out on the opportunity to
control.
Right.
Okay. So, second is understand that rest is not the same as collapsing. Just because you're resting doesn't mean that you're going to collapse, right? So scrolling on your phone for an hour while your jaw is clenched is not deep rest. I think we all know that, right? But most of you don't realize your jaw is clenched. Sitting on the couch while mentally running tomorrow's to-do list is not rest.
Yeah.
You're not resting. Your mind is very active and going, and your mind has gotten really used to this. Passing out from exhaustion, like passing out when you go to bed at night, that's not rest.
Right.
That's exhaustion, and that's burnout.
Yeah.
Right? Rest is when the body actually starts to downshift. It downregulates. It downshifts. So that might look like, you said this earlier, going for a slow walk. It might look like sitting outside, breathing more slowly, being intentional, doing breath work, doing box breathing, reading something calming.
Yeah.
Not watching a horror movie or watching a true crime documentary at 9:00 at night. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? It might be stretching. It might be prayer.
Yeah.
It might be listening to music. For many, many people, it's music. Quiet. Finding, like I just said, the lake house. Everyone's quiet in the morning.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Taking a hot shower.
I think you have to be good with knowing that the benefits of going to this quiet, relaxing place far outweigh the things that are going to come up that are negative.
Yeah.
Right? The FOMO, the self-preservation, all of those things, they're going to come up. I don't think it's impossible to get. I don't think it's possible to get rid of all that stuff. I don't.
No, but go make yourself a cup of tea and go
Yes.
set the timer if you need to do that, and go sit for 10 minutes
Yeah.
and just see where your mind goes. And if it goes to all the things you have to do, just notice it. Notice it's there. Notice what you're doing. Don't judge it. Just notice where your mind goes. Remember, this is more into meditation. I mean, your mind, just notice it, like the clouds passing overhead. Okay, that's where my mind is going. For 10 minutes, just notice where your mind goes. And maybe your mind goes to all the things you have to do. Just notice it. Oh, wow. I really do just automatically go to all the things. And notice that. And notice
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? How do you notice, like, wow, that's really what I'm doing right now?
Yeah. I think it's a big fight. I think it's a big
It
it's an
is.
internal battle.
It's a
right?
practice.
It's a practice.
It's a practice.
You're fighting freaking learned behavior that you've been dealing with your entire existence.
But the point is to not become a different person. That's not the point here. The point is to practice downshifting on purpose. So I've gotten into meditation. You all have listened to the podcast for any amount of time. You know that this has been very hard for me. It's been hard for me to meditate. It's been hard for me to pray. I'm hyper, and I find it to be like, okay, on to the next, on to the next. This is too hard, and I'm not interested in it because I like stimulation. Meditation has been wonderful for me. It's been a paradigm shift for me in thinking and behavior. And so that's what I did the first 5-10 minutes and I used an app that helped me because it was a guided meditation. And it was hard, very, very hard. So I started at 5 minutes and I kept at it. I told myself to keep at it because I knew the science. I knew the research. I knew that it was beneficial, and I was promoting it to my clients and not doing it myself. This is like back in like 2015, 16. And then I started to devote myself to it. And it has been game changing to quiet my mind. It's unbelievable the changes I have made in my life because of not prayer. Prayer is different for me. Meditation, just to quiet the mind down. And I realize my brain needs it. My mind needs the quiet. So this is not, I don't want you to become a different person. I just want you to downshift when you want to downshift. And you need to downshift every day. We all do need to. We can't be living in 2026 going all the time. Most of us are dysregulated most of the time. Okay. So how do you start? You start tiny. Like I just said, 5 minutes. Start small. All right. You're not going to start with, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes every day. No, you're not. You're not going to. You're not going to meditate for 30 minutes and you're not going to do it every day. So tell yourself you're going to meditate for 5 minutes, 3 times a week. You can do that. And if you've worked with me, if you know me, I'll tell you, this is the work I do with my clients. This is what you're going to do. You're going to meditate for 5 minutes and choose it 3 times. In my coaching clients, you're writing this in your calendar. You're writing it in your book. We both know when you're doing it, and I'm holding you accountable to it, which is the best thing ever. I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have accountability coaches in my life. Therapists don't do this. Coaches do. This is what I do. And I am where I am because of those people in my life. And this is what I do with my clients. All right. So this is not, it's not you being wise. This is not, this is not fantasy. Just start with 3 minutes of meditation. Maybe it's 2 minutes before you get out of the car, you go into the house after a day's work. Maybe it's 3 minutes of sitting on the couch. Set a timer, really set a timer. Do it on your phone, 3 minutes, and just sit quietly.
Yeah.
Get a meditation app, which is, I
there's a lot of them out there.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds
Lots
and hundreds of
options.
It's maybe it's 3 minutes without your phone. Go put, like Grafton does this because of law school. Like put your phone in the kitchen, put your phone in the bathroom and go sit on the couch. 3 minutes without your phone. Start there. All right. Maybe it's 3 minutes of breathing before you get out of bed in the morning. Don't get on your phone. Just breathe. Just give it what you think is 2 or 3 minutes. All right. 3 minutes of doing one thing. I'm not getting up to do one more thing. And this is a practice that I have had to work on. Obviously, after the session, I realized I have to work on it even more.
Right.
So,
yeah.
what you're doing in those moments is you're teaching your body that you can be still and nothing terrible has happened. that you can pause and you don't disappear. You're still there, right? That you could stop. You could stop without the world falling apart. You could stop for 3, 5, 10 minutes and nothing falls apart. It's all going to be there when you're done. And this is how change starts to happen. It's not in these huge traumatic moments. It's in the small repetitions. I always say you got to put in the reps. You want to build your bicep, you're putting in the reps, right? You have a 5 pound weight, then 2 weeks later, you're like, that's nothing. I did 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12. Now you move up to 7 or 8 pound weights. There you go. You're learning, you're growing,
Yeah.
but you got to put in the reps. You have to start with today of doing 3 sets of, let's say, 8 of a weight that you can get to that third set by the seventh or eighth or ninth or 10th rep. It's a little hard. That's you're building muscle, but you're doing it.
Right.
It's the same thing with this, right? So ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I really slow down? What am I afraid? And be honest with yourself. Answer that question. Maybe it's, I'm going to feel like I'm behind. I'm going to feel useless. I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to notice that I'm really lonely, that I'm isolated more than I realized and I thought, that I'm really isolated and I'm lonely. I'm going to realize that I'm freaking exhausted, that I have to face things that I don't want to face. Okay, that's good. Now you're getting somewhere. Okay, that's good for you. You're doing it. Because once you know what you're actually protecting yourself from, you can work with the real issue instead of just fighting the symptom. All right. So, next one, I want you to create that transition time. A lot of people go from work mode to parenting mode to household mode to partner mode to sleep mode with zero transition. And I know I'm guilty of it. You're probably guilty of it too. I mean, I think it's just the world today. But what that does, it keeps our bodies activated.
Yeah.
Always on, always on. Even 5 minutes of transition matters. Like I noticed you'll sit in the car sometimes before you come in the house. Because I know your car pulled up. You're not like, oh, you're doing that. A lot of people will do transition time. I think it's a good one if you're coming from an outside workplace. Sit in the car and take that transition time from work to car, getting out of the car, going, don't go right in the house. Don't right in your apartment.
Yeah.
Take that moment to be with yourself, maybe do some breathing.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of a meditation. Just sit in the car quietly.
Yeah. And I think that's good advice because that's probably not what's actually happening. It probably
don't listen to AM sports radio. Don't be listening to the end of a podcast. Go back to the podcast, but turn it off in those 5 minutes and just sit there.
Yeah.
Be quiet. Learn to be good with quiet. Learn to be good without the external noise, because Lord knows we all have enough, this whole episode, of noise in our heads. Learn to be with quiet. Then you go in the house and see how that works for you. It's very helpful.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Dim the lights at night. That's another one I like. Start quiet. Bring the lights down in your house. That's a nice transition into going to bed. Right? Put your phone down before dinner. Don't bring your phone to the dinner table. Put your phone down and then eat, and really eat a meal. Taste the food. Or take a brief walk after work. You get home from work and the weather is beautiful. Go for a short walk before you come back in the house and you start to get dinner ready and you're doing all the homework with the kids. Bring the kids with you, okay? This is not extra. This is you learning to down-regulate. This is self-regulation, right? So you don't need to be fried, burnt out to deserve the care. You deserve this. You don't need to collapse to justify a pause in your life. You have to, we don't want that. You hear about these celebrities who are going to these places, for rest and relaxation because they're exhausted. We don't want that ever. You don't need to prove that you're exhausted enough to be enough. No. All right. Okay. So we got to end. I mean, I could go on and on. So here's a practice for this week. Here's a simple practice for all of you. I want you to try it this week. Once a day, I want you to catch a moment where you would normally reach for some sort of stimulation, some sort of motion, movement, or productivity, okay? Maybe you'd normally grab your phone, you'd get up to wipe the counters down, you check your email one more time, or you turn something on just so you have to sit alone in silence. This is a big one. People do this. Or have the TV on. I want you to pause for 2 minutes, and I want you to ask yourself, what am I feeling in my body right now? What am I feeling right now? What thought is making me want to move? What's the thought is coming up for me right now that's making me want to move? What feeling might percolate to the surface if I sit still? Can I let myself be here without immediately fixing something? Can I just let myself be here? That's it.
Mm.
Okay. So go back and rewind this again if you need to listen to that again. What feeling am I having in my body right now? What thought is making me want to move? What feeling might come up for me if I sit still? Can I let myself be here without immediately trying to fix something? And that's it. Okay. This is not about doing rest perfectly. It's not about nothing. There's no perfection here, everybody. Okay. This is just about building awareness. And awareness matters because you cannot change a pattern that you never interrupted. You've got to interrupt the pattern that you are in. Okay. What did you starting to heal from all this look like? It doesn't mean you become lazy. It does not mean you lose your drive. No, no, no. We don't want you to lose your drive. It does not mean you stop being productive. Yes, we still want you to be productive. Those are all good things. It does not mean that you become passive or checked out. We don't want that for you either. These are all, we want you to keep who you are, right? It means your productivity stops being fueled by panic. It means you can sit down at night without feeling guilty. It means you can enjoy a good moment in your life without waiting for something bad to happen. You can enjoy a moment without waiting for the other shoe to drop. It means you can have an open hour. You actually have white space. You can have an open hour in your calendar and you don't treat it as a threat. It's just a good moment. It's a
Mm.
good hour,
Yeah.
right? It means your body learns that stillness is not danger, right? It means you stop living like peace is something you have to be suspicious of. This is a very different life. And honestly, it's a much more powerful life. It's a life a little bit more in balance. Okay. So if you take one thing from this very long episode, let it be this that the reason you can't relax, even when nothing is wrong, is often because your mind and body learn that staying activated feels safer than letting go. All right. That's one thing I want you to remember. And so start to, to take action and utilize some of the practices I've given you here today to allow yourself to move into a space of relaxing without any of the animosity and the bad stuff that's going on in your head. You deserve it. Okay. Just start by noticing it. All right. Okay. Power moves. Power moves. Number one, catch the lie. The vigilance is the same thing as responsibility. Next power move, ask yourself what slowing down actually brings up in you. Your third power move, practice 2 minutes a day of intentional stillness. That's just 2 minutes, everybody. You can do it. Four, stop waiting until total exhaustion comes and for you to allow yourself to rest. Don't wait for total exhaustion. Number five, remember that calm feeling unfamiliar does not mean it's unsafe. Okay. Remember that feeling calm does not mean that you're unsafe. Okay.
Okay. There you go.
Hope that this is helpful. This is a long one and it's an important one because so many of us are living this way, myself included. We all have work to do. And remember, this is a work in progress. There's no perfection here. This is life work. This is life work. All right. You know where to find me if you want to reach out to me. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you. We appreciate all of you who do take the time to punch 5 stars and to write a review. It really does mean the world. Okay. The podcast is growing. We're reaching people throughout the world, which is fantastic. And it's because of all of you. So thank you, thank you. And if you want group coaching, you want to find me. Mad love, everyone.